Hi folks, this is Mohan Raghavan. Today the topic is Python exceptions. So how we are going to handle the exceptions and what is exceptions and what are the different types of exceptions and how the control flow goes in the exceptions. So these are the things we are going to see in this video. So when we start with Python exceptions, first we will see syntax errors, also known as parsing errors. So it's basically about the indentation or because of the syntaxes. So it will give the error. So it's a simple. And even if a statement or expression is syntactically correct, it may cause an error when an attempt is made to execute it. Some statement looks syntactically correct, but when you execute, it will fail because of some reasons. So those kind of errors will be called as exceptions. And built-in exceptions, known errors. So for the known errors, for the basic errors, we have already built-in exceptions provided by the Python. So in exceptions, you will have everything as a class. So every exception is a class in Python. And customized exceptions. So in some cases, business scenarios, we may need to create our own exceptions to handle that. It will be very good to have the own exceptions in case of a specific business reasons. And we don't have any inbuilt exceptions for the business cases. And next one, order. So try, except, else, finally. So this order is very important. And just we will go one by one. So try. This is the part where you will write your risky code or where you will suspect the code that may cause an exceptions. So if we don't have this Python exceptions handling, so what will happen is the program will end abnormally. So to continue to program execution flow in a smooth way, we will try to put it into the Python exception handling. So try is the area where you will mention the code which may raise the exceptions. And except, here is the place you will just catch the exceptions and handle the code to continue the program flow. Else part is the main one because it always comes along with except. And let's say before going to else, I will explain except more. So it's not except, actually it's exception. So except can be 1 to n number of times. So we can have multiple exceptions also handling code. But the thing is, default exception will be at the end. And if the exception part is not touched, let's say the code went fine, then else part will be executed. But except and else always comes together. So it never comes only else. So it always comes with except. And finally block will be executed always whether exceptions occurs or not. So it's a default code where you will find the cleaning up the code, or let's say database connections closing or file closing. Those kind of things will be taken care in the finally block. So the possible combination may be try, except, else, finally, or the possible another combination is try, multiple, except, else, finally, or the possible combination is try, except, finally, or try, except, or try, finally. There's other many possibilities are there, but as of now, it's only the basic possible combinations. So when you go with Python built-in exceptions, we need to know the hierarchy. So just the hierarchy of Python built-in exceptions will be from the base exception. So the root or the main class, parent class for all the exception. Further over, we have two more exceptions from the base exception and keyboard interrupt. So most of our exceptions will comes under the exception class, and it has different exceptions as shown in the figure. So if you want to catch a particular exception, you can directly catch the particular exception, or you can catch the default exception. And when we create our own customized exceptions, we always tend to use exception as a parent class. So those things we will see in the demo. So if you see the first line, just the first two lines, so you ignore, that is our creating own exceptions. What it doesn't mean is any class we can create exception. So just create a class with your exception name and just inherit the exception class. So whenever you inherit the exceptions or the exception subclasses, it will be acting as a exception, our own customized exception. So for the demo purpose, I have not implemented anything, just I'm creating pass, the dummy implementation. Then let's start with our try with multiple except, else, and finally. So as I told earlier, except with the default will not having any exception name, so it will be the last in the exception list. And you can mention the exception class directly, or you can mention exception class along with message. And let's say print try black. Same way I have the print statements in each black, and raise my exception. So if you have your own exception, so you can raise it directly there. And the thing is, before raising your exceptions, it should be defined before that. So since it's a interpreted language, we need to mention the exception before and hand in hand. And I have made some statements which will raise exceptions. So let's say now I'm just printing the try black and trying to create the exception. So I'm sending the message as well. So let's see which black will be taken. So as soon as the exception raised, it will come for the first line, zero division error. It will not catch my exception we captured, and we are getting the message as well. So whatever the parameter you are sending, that will be the message to the exception. And by default, it will be taken care into the my exception class. If you don't take care, then exception class will take care. It will receive one message and it will show as a your error message. So as soon as we started, try black executed, then exception raised. Then after, since exception raised, else part will not come into picture, then finally black. So let's say I don't have any exceptions. So the flow may be try black and then else black and then finally black. So try else finally. So this line will actually raise the exception for type error. Since we did not catch the type error anywhere, so default black will be executed and else part will not be executed. So try black, except black for default, and finally black. And next one, divide by zero division error. So already we captured that one, so it will capture that directly. So let's see. So except for zero division error. So exception captured here and handled here. And after that, we will go to the finally black. And it is just a demo purpose. I have not handled anything inside this code, but in general, in real time, we will handle the code in the same way. When we raise the exceptions, we will have some information here as well. So this is all about a simple understanding on exceptions. So we have seen the different kind of exceptions. So built-in exceptions and our own customized exceptions. And we have seen the flow of try, except, else finally. And we saw that exceptions can be many, and we can directly capture the exceptions, or if you don't have the exceptions, you can put it as a default and it should be the last in the exception list. And we saw else how it will work, and we saw finally black. So that's all about the Python exceptions. Thanks all, thanks for watching. And everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality, by Robin Sharma. So just think about your future and think about your dreams. So it will be created first in your mind. So whatever we think, that will be in a reality in later stage. So every thought is very important and meaningful. So thanks all, thanks for watching.